Play. Welcome, everyone, to It's a Wrap with Rap. I am your host, Ron Rappaport. This podcast features people who have overcome life's challenges and adversities, people who can inspire and motivate, and people who can educate us on an assortment of topics. My guest today is Aaron Smith. Aaron was born in Appleton, Wisconsin in 1995 to a wonderful family. He is an autistic musician and actor and an Elvis Presley tribute singer. Aaron lives with autism and Asperger's and has endured being bullied and threatened growing up and in high school, but he never let it bring him down. He was kicked and punched for being different, but he always turned to music for comfort, and he believes in music being a healing thing for him. Welcome, Aaron, to the podcast. What a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Ronald. It's a pleasure to be on the program.
Let's start at the beginning. How did you discover your singing talent?
I would have to say at a young age, I wasn't ever really into the Little League and the sports. I kind of drifted towards music and anything music. So probably choir when I was in middle school and high school. I pursued that, and I really found myself studying hard on that and having kind of a knack for wanting to do something in whether it's choir or Broadway or something like that. I like that over the typical Little League or football or baseball.
Sure. So when did your passion for Elvis music start, and how long have you been doing your Elvis tribute singing professionally?
Oh my gosh, I would have to say the enjoyment and the wanting, the lust for doing that goes far back as age 8 or 9 years old. But professionally, I want to say I started in about 2016, 17. I started getting the costumes and really developing a set list and learning the songs and rehearsing and practicing the material and watching the movies and really diving into it kind of full speed ahead.
And so what was it about Elvis that really got you, revved up about him? What about the persona?
Oh man, the man could walk in a room and it's like you could feel him there, even watching the footage. But I'd have to say, my father and I watched a movie called Elvis, That's the Way It Is. And it was a documentary filmed at the International Hotel in 1970 when he just came back from the 68 special. And that 68 special is phenomenal. I'm not knocking the 68 special, but when he played Vegas in those costumes, the way he got the women riled up and walked around the room, and even the men for that part, I was just in shock that an entertainer could kind of go to I don't want to say drab, but a very stuffy Frank Sinatra type city and then overnight just completely flip the coin in the entertainment world, and just that was incredible to me.
Yeah, we were talking off set here, and I was telling you that I actually saw the King in person, 1971. I'm kind of dating myself, but I saw him at the International Hotel perform, and he was definitely amazing. Yeah. And
that was a good year for him. 69 to 71, 72.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, there were Elvis billboards everywhere in that town. They were everywhere.
Oh yeah, I wish I had it. I wish I had it in front of me, but I have a lot of memorabilia from the Hilton that I'm sure the phrases will jog your memory, but it's Elvis now at the International Hotel. Hear Elvis on RCA records and tapes.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Colonel Parker.
Yeah.
Colonel Parker, I watched a thing. And it's funny you say that because I was watching a documentary about Parker, and I believe it was either his wife or his assistant who when he worked for the Hilton, he said, I even want the gophers in the desert. I want everybody to know Elvis is here, but I even want the gophers in the desert to know that Elvis is here.
That is true, because I know that those billboards were all over the state of Nevada. They were out in the desert. Yeah. I saw pictures of that. What was it like growing up with autism, and how did it affect your school life and your friendships? Can you
I
talk
would
a
have
little
to
bit about that?
Sure, I would love to. I would have to say at a young age in the early 2000s, there wasn't much advocacy for it like there is now. I
Yeah,
want to say they were just starting. Um, it was difficult even at a young age because there was always something different or obscure, and kids don't understand at a young age, which is to be expected. You're still developing, but it
yeah,
was hard because I was always questioning, is there someone like me and why don't they like me? I guess to a point of, your normal young, child friendships of it. It seemed like I had to try even harder to make those friendships and keep those friendships rather than my other playmates or kids my age.
okay. How often were you bullied growing up? And at that time, were there resources to access to stop it, or did you just have to cope with it? And if so, how did you cope with it?
There wasn't much. I mean, the school did have some, their anti-bullying policy, but at that time it wasn't really enforced like it is in school districts now. So it was more or less, unless it got physical, you just kind of had to take it. And
Yeah,
the frustrating part was many times it got physical and there wasn't really any repercussions for it. So the kids did continue to do it, or it was excused because, oh, Aaron can be annoying at times, or Aaron can be obnoxious, or Aaron is different. So it was frustrating because it it was everything. There wasn't probably one thing in the book, as I say, that hadn't happened to me during my course of elementary school to high school or middle school to high school. It was so difficult that I never gave up hope, but it was really, there were times where it was really dark and it was really like I'd find myself crying or like locking myself in my room, and my parents didn't know what was going on. So I felt bad about that because they didn't know really how to help me until, I kind of let it out. No kid wants to be like, Mom, I need you to come in school. And, you know,
yeah, yeah. You didn't need a nursemaid. So you became very resilient. You really did, didn't you?
extremely, extremely. And I credit my mom for that because she was a dispatcher for a trucking company, so she had to deal with that. So growing up, her doing that, she taught me the that tough exterior you need to have, and not to stoop to the level of you're better than that. You don't need to do that to fit in, but you also don't need to take it either. But there's a classy way of taking it, and it was difficult because going through different counselors and psychologists and different people, that was difficult for me because it's like I was getting so much different information
Yeah,
that as a young kid it was hard to, I guess, decipher the information that I wanted to, I guess, pick through or use.
right. Well,
um,
mom sounds like a great lady. She really does.
was wonderful woman, toughest, strongest woman I know. My father was as well, and I look at them both and I go, how did you deal with that? Because I have other brothers and sisters, but the dealing with it and then finding the ways and talking to the school and sometimes talking to other parents who didn't understand it, were ignorant to the fact. As a guy, my dad had still had, I want to say we were that last era, early 2000s, 90s of like old school parenting. And my dad would go toe to toe with a couple of these parents. And it's funny because same age, and they would both just say, because it was a small rural town, so people don't understand, but it was frustrating because he would get frustrated that he couldn't beat the crap out of those kids
Yeah,
himself.
gotcha. Aaron, what school topics were the most challenging for you?
I would have to say math and science.
Okay. Any particular? Are you better at it now? Math?
I'm much better at it now. Yeah, I still have a difficult time sometimes when it comes to bigger numbers. In I don't want to say like bigger numbers, but like if I couldn't use a calculator, I'd have some trouble when it comes to like money and that sort of thing. But much better. I had a teacher. Eventually, I ended up getting pulled out of school and going to a private school. And I had at that school, it was an all boys private school. And her name was Ann Heinrich, and she ran an all boys private school. I want to say there was 3 or 4 of us, but it was catered to us. It was, it wasn't cookie cutter learning where everyone reads it the same. It was catered to, which really helped, because once I got it, I was able to, get it and be like, okay, now I can go on to this with mild help versus needing to have an aid with me or be walked through every level of the topic or the subject.
Aaron, which song of Elvis is your favorite to perform and why?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Oh, that's tough. He did so many good songs. I would have to say either That's All Right Mama, CC Rider, which he opened with both. I'm assuming when you saw him, he opened with That's All Right Mama. But it would have to be Suspicious Minds. Love that song.
Minds. Yeah, I love that song.
Incredible.
One of the greats.
The moves. I like it for the moves and the karate, although I've split my pants a couple times doing that song on stage.
Who were your top 5 musical influences?
I would have to say first and foremost Elvis, Aaron Presley, Whitney Houston, Mary Wilson of the Supremes, love her. Harry Styles, current kind of Elvis Bowie type. Aretha, and oh gosh, I would have to actually go with Tammy Wynette.
Tammy Wynette. Yes. I got to go with you on that Whitney Houston one. There's nobody that can touch. Nobody can touch her. Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree with you. Your name is Aaron. Elvis Presley's middle name, Aaron, right?
Yes.
Any coincidence on that, or?
I don't think so. I don't. I mean, at a young age, I didn't think about it, but when I started doing what I was doing, my parents go, "Oh my gosh, this is strange." Because even if I've been to Tennessee and I've been to Graceland, and it's spelled the same.
Yeah, I know.
Which is incredible. I know for a short while before the COVID, my bass player, Harold Carlson, great guy, he came up to me one night and he goes, "We got to think of a name for the show. We got to think of a name for the show." And we tossed around some names, and I'm like, I want something catchy. He goes, "How about the Aaron Presley Show?" And that stuck.
Yeah.
More than even locally, it really took off because people put that together. But I don't know. Because I have OCD as well, and so I obsess about a variety of topics. But I always laugh because it always comes back to Elvis, from traffic lights to 1950s to Elvis. It's an array of things. But hindsight's 20/20, so I think there had to be something. Although I have to quote my dad growing up. He was a big Elvis fan, but he said one night at a show, because I pulled him up on stage and I said, "I wanted you to say something." He goes, "I was a huge Elvis fan back in the day, but once you've listened to the same Elvis record for like 800 times and you're growing up with your son, it kind of loses its touch."
Well, they got that middle name of yours. There must have been a reason. Things happen for a reason,
You sure do.
Now you have traveled doing your shows.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite places that you performed at?
I would have to say first Memphis, Tennessee. Incredible. Even on any given day of me doing a show, there's always that audience is always in the mood.
Yeah.
They're always in the mood for Elvis. I would have to say probably, gosh, I'd say Memphis and Florida, and would have to be the top two that I really energetic crowd. Like I said, I haven't gotten out to Las Vegas. Memphis and Florida, incredible, just audiences. And Wisconsin, I love my hometown audience, but there's something about the electricity in Florida and Tennessee that it's just, you almost feel like you're emulating him because the crowd gets that excited.
Well, when you're back down in Florida, I'm going to have to catch your act.
Yes, I
For
would
sure.
love
You're going to have to let me
come
know when
down.
you're down here. What are some of your favorite stage wear outfits that you wear?
Oh my gosh. I would have to say, surprisingly, doing the Elvis thing, I don't have any jumpsuits. I do more of the two-piece wear, the two-piece suits. Now, not the 50s stuff, but like there's an outfit called, it's the 1969 press conference outfit, and it consists of a black suit jacket with a red and black silk scarf and a pair of black dress pants and a pair of Florsham boots with no shirt, which I've pulled it off, but I swear Elvis is the only one who can do an opening night and come to a place with no shirt underneath too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and and then I would have to say the other one was the Madison Square Garden press conference suit with the huge 24 karat gold buckle.
Yeah.
Big gold.
And he had those big collars too, didn't he?
The high, yeah, they were.
Yeah,
they called,
yeah.
I want to say they're called a Roman collar or something with the Romans when they used to have those, because they were folded up and they were like yay high.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Incredible, but I would have to say the 69 to 72 era. I did have a suit when I was younger. The suit doesn't fit me anymore because I was like 10. But I did have a jumpsuit with the cape. But I'd have to say those because they're more free moving than a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad you brought it up because the necklace I'm wearing was the King of Bling, and I don't think anybody else goes wakes up in the middle of the night, catches a flight without telling their entourage, and goes to the White House. You know, that's an Elvis. That's an Elvis thing.
Absolutely. I want to tell my audience that this is on YouTube. It's a Rap with Rap, the podcast uncut, and you can see Aaron's necklace, which is beautiful, the lion necklace. What is your favorite era of Elvis to perform? What era do you like the best?
I'd have to say 1969 to about 73, 74.
I think so too.
On the list for costumes, though, with era, I definitely have the eagle suit on my list. It is definitely one of the ones, but I would have to say early 70s. When I first started out, I had people say, well, you should do the early 70s because of your body type. Obviously, I've gained a little weight, but I started out doing the earlier years. It just was unfortunate because when I first started out, I didn't have the sideburns. And I love the catalog from, when I was in Tennessee, I got to meet Mark James. He wrote Suspicious Minds. So that was, oh my God, moment for me.
Yeah.
Like meeting Mark James, I met George Klein, and I met his nurse who was with him. So, oh my God, but I'm so clammy. But the catalog from them, the Tony Joe White tune, Polk Salad Annie. I love the early stuff because he went from ballads to fast songs, and I heard from some of his entourage that the people at the International, the orchestra and the band that he played, the TCB band with James Burton, some of the songs he only did once and they rehearsed them like 30 times. So I couldn't imagine being a musician and, oh, no, he doesn't want to do that one.
Yeah.
But I love Make the World Go Away. That's if I'm not mistaken, who's singing? That's a country song, but I'm trying to think if that's that's not Andy Williams. I'm trying to Make the World Go Away. I love how he covered the country songs, and that early stuff is just fantastic before he kind of I don't want to say went on autopilot, but started making a caricature of himself in those later years. I'd have to say the 69 to 73, 74 would be the era of music I really like.
Aaron, what do you think of popular music today?
Oh God, no, I'm quoting Elvis. I'm just an entertainer. I couldn't criticize anybody. But I'm not going to say honey to you. I remember in the press conference, he goes, I couldn't do that, honey. I can't criticize. I'm just a performer. I'd have to say it shifted, some in a good way and some in a bad way. I'd have to say in the negative way, I have to be careful.
I don't insult half my audience here.
No. Right. They're gonna drag me off the stage. They're gonna be like the gong showing, take the hook. I'd have to say it takes less talent to make music now.
Okay, that's fair.
Technology wise.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say I love new music. I just have always, I'm gonna sound like an older person, but I personally don't think you have to use profanity in a song to make music.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need it in to be funny either.
No, unless you're Red Fox, then all bets are off.
Right. I've actually seen Red Fox in person too. Guy was phenomenal.
And I'd have to say, transcending the music, I think there's a certain level of sensitivity that isn't there anymore in the music industry.
A little bit coarser, would you say?
Yes, okay. I would definitely say that.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But that's
because I listened to my era, and I listened to the 50s and 60s. I could go from listening to Usher and Lil Wayne to listening to the McGuire sisters to listening to Alan Jackson to listening to Elvis to listening to some doo-wop stuff.
The whole variety. I know you have been to Graceland. You talked about that and performed during Elvis Week in Memphis. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yes, I can. Oh my gosh, what incredible. It was just incredible. I've never been nervous before going on stage in my life. I've always loved the attention of being in front of a live audience. But I remember I felt like Elvis backstage at the International, at the Hilton. My hands were shaking. I was sweaty. I kept running through the songs in my head that I've done a million times before. I messed up the opening song to CC Rider, which I've never done before. It was magical. It was incredible. From the moment I get to a venue and I talk with the sound people and all that, that backstage stuff. From the moment that Space Odyssey came on and that first drum kick hit and the lights went up and I went out there, it was 1, 2, 3, we're hanging on for dear life, let's go. And it was just energy like I've never felt in my life. Never felt. I almost felt like it's one of those moments you just have to soak up.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. It was so incredible. Elvis fans are special, really special people. And I always say he has the best fans, but it was surreal. I mean, I had a lady run up on stage and try to take my belt off. That was interesting. That's never happened before.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
And I said, honey, if it wasn't a 24 karat gold belt, I'd let you have it.
Yeah, you're not letting go of that.
No, but it was incredible. It was just electrifying. And, the funny part is there were so many guys that week performing at different venues that come down for that week from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. And I don't know, I'm sure you've heard of the Comic-Con and anime conventions, right?
Yeah. That's
how it felt for us guys to be like, do you need this belt? Do you need this necklace? Do you need this ring? Oh, I have that cape if you're, but
it must have been like a moment where you were meeting your brothers,
Absolutely.
You guys were family.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Very much.
It had to be
almost,
emotional. It had to be very emotional.
it was the older and the younger generation kind of meshing of impersonators was very emotional, because you get the older ones that are very proud of the younger guys for kind of passing the torch. But all of them told me the same thing while I was down there, and I said, no, I'm not. They said, when you go to Graceland for the candlelight vigil, you get to walk up, take your moment. Priscilla's there. Lisa's that, you're gonna bawl your eyes out. I said, no, I'm not. Man, we're 429 of them. We're right. And we all did kind of together. But it was an incredible thing, because I remember seeing a kid. He looked like he was no more than 8 years old, dressed as a tribute artist. And his reaction, he was doing the same thing we all were. He was crying like a baby and, holding his candle. And that, when I saw him, he wanted a picture with me later, but it touched me. It really said something about who Elvis was as a person, legacy and timeless. And that if an 8-year-old, which is emotional about this guy that's no longer with us, how special is that for an entertainer to have that type of fan?
Absolutely. Tell us about your Uncle Mark and how he has helped you get into the entertainment business.
Yes, my Uncle Mark Brinkman. He's actually in Florida. He has a place in Florida, and then he travels. He was probably the most, I want to say, musically talented one in my side of the family. Growing up, he was a bluegrass. He wrote songs for so many different artists. I can't list them all. I remember we got together last year, and I misquoted, but he's done so many songs for different artists, and he's gotten so much recognition and awards for what he's done. But he's been doing that since he was about my age, and he's from Wisconsin as well. But he decided to go on the road and find gigs as well. And he pushed me for pitch and for stage appearance and for, you may sound good to your parents, but you got this to work on, you got that to work on. He really pushed me to show a more professional side in the business, and not only being someone with a disability, but he kind of guided me so much so I wouldn't get taken advantage of in the business, but also supported me because this is what I wanted to do, and was able to kind of, on occasion, we don't get to see each other a lot, but on occasion when we get together, teach me a few things about music and guitars and pitch, and he's actually a songwriter. I am not. So he's been trying to tell me, you need to start writing your own material from your life experiences. You could have something if you just tried. And so I have to push myself to do that, because I said, I give you so much credit for he used to live in Ohio, and he sold his house to travel with my Aunt Jan. And incredible voice. I just remember when I saw him once, he wrote a song called Mama Like the Redbirds, and it was he said in the blue Virginia sky. He goes, I didn't want to say in the blue Wisconsin sky because that didn't sound too good. He goes, so I said Virginia, but it was a song about the day my grandmother passed, and it was he wrote that, and it was interesting because every time he tells it, he says Wisconsin didn't sound so good, but he was on the road when that happened, and I can't imagine if I could get to that level in the music business. I would be very grateful, because he's done a lot of things, and I am very impressed and honored to call him my uncle, because
he sounds like a great guy, and I think you're gonna get to that ceiling. I have confidence in that. What are your audiences like? Your typical, when you do your gigs. I mean, who's out there?
It's very mixed. It can go from, like I said, people as old as like 20, early 20s, to 8 to 60 plus. I
Yeah.
mean, it's extremely mixed, which I think is special as well, but very mixed, very mixed. But the response and rapport I build with fans, not only here in Wisconsin and the States, uh, um, and the ones that have watched podcasts and interviews in the UK and London, it's really mixed, but it's always, you get the heckler in there, but it's always generally very extremely positive. And it's great because I when I travel, there's that anxiety because you're going somewhere new, somewhere
Yeah.
different.
Sure.
And I have a buddy who travels with me, which helps because anybody who's autistic, there's that routine they need, even if they're done the show a million times, done something. I have a friend of mine, his name's Sebastian, and he travels with me. He's kind of, I call him personal assistant and bodyguard best friend. He knew me before I really started doing this, and I trust him, and I like to have somebody with me that knows my quirks and my tics and that isn't like, what's going on? So that helps me a lot. And there's a lady by the name of Brooke Olson and another lady by the name of Cindy that are also, there for me when I'm playing locally, and always there as like a support team. But it's mixed. It's very, very mixed. But I've never had a bad crowd.
Well, that's good to hear.
Never.
How does autism affect your performances? And have you had any special training to cope with those challenges?
I would have to say the biggest thing is usually the anxiety beforehand. A lot of pacing, a lot of, I don't want to say asking like, how's the sound? Is it good? Am I good? Is it good? Are there, that there's a lot of repetitive questions that are asked. And then the other one would have to be after a show coming down, I don't want to say at an ego standpoint, but coming down from that high is difficult. That's the difficult part. And sometimes it makes me appear arrogant or what have you, or stuck up, but it's sometimes I don't even notice myself doing that after a show. If we're at a lounge or if we're out, I don't notice. And that's probably the most noticeable difficult part is I'm still in that mode of Elvis and being on stage.
Yeah. You're living that character. Well, you did answer my question. One of the other question was, do you travel alone or with a posse like Elvis did? And I guess you answered that. You have a small posse.
Small posse.
Small posse.
Cindy and Brooke, they help me also with, daily living skills and that sort of thing locally. But Sebastian, he goes on the road with me, and we've had, just like Elvis, we've had our blowouts, we've had our fights, but he's never really, I guess, not supported me, and he's always been there to take the club, the chair, the fist, the angry husband that I kissed his wife after giving her a scarf, But it's funny to see someone, because he never really dresses up. I dress up, but he'll be in like a Nike shirt and blue jeans, right?
Yeah.
And he'll be either in the audience or backstage. And it's funny, like, I'm waiting for this time that he's going to have to rush on stage in his Jordans and blue jeans to get down to business. I'm going to be like, because everybody expects him to be so well dressed.
Aaron, what advice and takeaway message for people trying to overcome their personal challenges do you have for them? People out there in our audience that are going through some personal challenges.
I would have to say, first of all, don't ever think it's too late or give up when it comes to, like, I can get help, or I can use resources, or I can do what I want to do in life to my full potential. There's always resources, and there's always somebody out there that can help you. And you may feel alone. You may feel like this is never going to end. This is never going to go away. This kind of cloud is going to hang over me. That feeling does go away. It does go away, but sometimes it comes back. But first and foremost, take things one day at a time. Don't worry too much too far in advance. Take things one day at a time, and keep good people in your corner. Don't let toxic, negative, and just terrible people leech off of you if they're not really going to be there in the long term. And you'll see who those people are. But don't ever feel like you need to mask who you are to make people like you.
Awesome advice. Excellent advice. What excites you the most going forward in your career? What excites you the most?
I would have to say meeting the fans and continuing to not only meet the fans, but like you said, earlier, the brotherhood, to see my other brothers and sisters. There are some female ETAs, which is wonderful, but to see the brothers and sisters out there and to continue touching people's lives, not only through my advocacy for people with different disabilities, but through the life and legacy of Elvis Aaron Presley, and to continue meeting wonderful people across this great nation.
Aaron, how can people contact you if they want to contact you? Is there a website or? Okay.
Yep. My Facebook page is Elvis Tribute Artist Aaron Smith, and my email is on there as well. And you can PM me on there. You can send me an email. I believe my phone number is on there as well. So you can contact me through there. And then you can also follow me on Twitter. I just started a Twitter this year.
Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, right. Twitter, and they go, oh no, now you got to get the Instagram too. So, I wish I was like one of those big name celebrities where they had someone that managed their 85 accounts.
I'm not on Twitter. I am not on Twitter, but the podcast is on Instagram. So I'm learning that.
I am too. I feel old because I look at it and I go, the only thing I primarily use is Facebook.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah. So
what's your Twitter handle for people out there?
My Twitter handle, gosh, no, I'm gonna have to look at it real quick.
Okay.
I want to say it's Aaron Smith. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm looking like my dad too. My dad goes, hold on a second, wait. It is at Aaron 1111112.
Okay. At Aaron 111112.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'm going to list that in the podcast notes. I want to thank you, Aaron. I want to thank you, Aaron, for being here and sharing your story. It is so inspiring to see. Oh yeah, it is so inspiring to see how you have overcome and are continuing to overcome a challenge. Your spirit of not giving up and moving forward with a purpose is so great to see. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you perform one day. Everybody, comments and suggestions to improve the podcast, you can email us at itsarap@gmail.com. You can get on our mailing list. Website, itsarapwithrap.com. Facebook page and group, It's a Rap with Rap. The Facebook group is growing very nicely. Instagram, It's a Rap with Rap podcast, and YouTube. All the episodes are on YouTube. It's a Rap with Rap, the podcast uncut. Thanks for listening. Please stay safe. And for now, it's a wrap.